In this video, I'm going to do an in-depth review of the July 2025 BTO launch from their pricing, location, and what are their pros and cons. Let's talk about Alexandra Peaks. This is one of the latest BTO projects in the Bukit Merah area, and it is predicted to be one of the most popular BTO in this batch, as it is located in a mature area. There's a lot of interest for this project, as it is also predicted to be one of the million-dollar resale flat producers in the future. This project offers 3-room and 4-room flats with super high towers at 46 and 38 floors depending on the block. As predicted, this project is classified as prime, which means the MOP will be 10 years, cannot rent out the whole flat after MOP, income ceiling for future buyers, etc. There will also be an 11% subsidy clawback if you sell this flat. This subsidy clawback this July is notably higher than February. Back then, the clawback rate for plus and prime projects were between 6 to 9% depending on which project. But this July, prime project subsidy recovery rate is between 11 to 12%. So indeed, it has gone up. I personally wonder whether this subsidy recovery rate percentage will keep moving up as we go along. Please don't tell me one day it can reach 30% or something. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Regarding price of the BTO, please see this table for your reference. To help you assess whether these BTO prices are reasonable or not, I have also added the transacted price of nearby resale flats of similar types. For example, for 3-room, the price range is between $403,000 to $511,000. If we compare the price gap between the highest BTO price in this project versus the highest comparable resale price for similar flats, so the gap comes up to be about 64%. Of course, you can argue that this comparison is flawed because for prime BTO, you can only sell it in the resale market essentially about 15 years down the line, which is construction time plus MOP, and by that time, the comparable resale price will be very different versus now. I do agree, this is absolutely not a perfect comparison, but I am still giving you this data because I feel that it can give a rough sense of how much profit you can possibly get if you have a unit here. Now, interestingly, if I do the same calculation and comparison for 4-room flat, the gap is actually smaller at 50%. In fact, if we see all of the 3-room and 4-room flats in this July sales launch, all the 3-room flats seems to be projected to gain more profit than the 4-room flats in terms of percentage. Comment down below if you want me to create a more in-depth video about which BTO flat type is more profitable. If you see how much profit you could possibly get, this will give you a better perspective that as long as it can surpass the subsidy clawback rate, it's still okay lah. Owners here can still profit. But I noticed one interesting thing. If we simply compare the 4-room price, Alexandra Peaks is actually cheaper than payoh, Ascent, and Clementi Emerald, which I find mind-blowing. Why is payoh, Ascent more expensive? I'm guessing it's because the comparable resale price there is higher, but Clementi Emerald's comparable resale price is actually slightly lower than Bukit Merah area. So I'm guessing because Clementi Emerald has the fastest waiting time, then they factored in that opportunity cost to the BTO price. Maybe. This is just my speculation. In terms of construction time, this project will take about 56 months, which is the longest in this July batch. It is too bad that under the current rule, you can only pick the flat type and the town. So for example, 4-room flat, Bukit Merah BTO, that's it. But you cannot pick the project. The waiting time for Alexandra Peaks even feels longer because the other Bukit Merah project, Alexandra Vista, only has 47 months of construction time. That's like 9 months faster. You can get pregnant and give birth in that duration. If you are lucky enough to get a good queue number and can either pick Alexandra Peaks or Alexandra Vista, please note that although Alexandra Peaks takes longer to build, it is much closer to the Redhill MRT station. The other one, Alexandra Vista, is about 15 minutes walk from Redhill MRT station or 1 bus stop away. But objectively, both Alexandra Peaks and Alexandra Vista are solid options and you will be lucky to get either of them. Now, let's look at the site plan. The development land plot is pretty tight because there's only 2 blocks, but each tower is very high so they can pack a lot of units here. It seems like there will be 6 lifts on each block. Remember that tower height is between 38 to 46 floors depending on which block. So I think the number of lifts are still acceptable. Now let's talk about the location. So this is the map that HDB gave. If we check in the Google map, I think the location is right over here. which is between the Alexandra Road and Prince Philip Avenue. Overall, the location feels very affluent because it's surrounded by multi-million-dollar condos. You see Tanglin View, the Crest, Echelon, Alex Residences, etc. The closest MRT station is right over here. You can definitely walk to the MRT station, just walk along the Alexandra View and then pass by Artra. You can also find FairPrice and several eateries there, so that's good. If you are into an active lifestyle, as you can see here, the Alexandra Park connector is just right here, where you can jog or maybe cycle. If you want to swim, the Active SG is just right over here. You also have an Active SG gym. And if you are looking for a hawker center and market, you see Redhill Market and Redhill Food Center is over here. So it's a little bit of a walk, but definitely still walkable. There are other shopping options such as this one, which is Dawson Place, but it's a little bit far, so most likely you will need to take a bus or something or ride a bicycle, up to you. By the way, if you want to buy a new car or something, there are so many dealerships over here. You see, you have Volkswagen, you have Volvo. Okay, let's switch to the other type of map so it's easier to see. Here, McLaren is here, just in case you want to buy a new luxury car. For parents with school-going children, you will be happy to know there are quite a lot of school options nearby. You have the Alexandra Primary School here, Gan Eng Seng School is here. You also have the Crescents Girls School, Queenstown Secondary, Bukit Merah Secondary. So it's quite a lot of schools around here. And if you are trusted with special needs angels, this location is also within the proximity of Mines Likongchan Gardens. APSN Tanglin School is also school for special needs children, but this school will move to Ang Mo Kio in 2026. And given the strategic location of this project, I don't think you will have any issue in renting out a room if you need to do so. Okay, let's do a quick recap. The main selling point of this project is definitely the location. In fact, there's not even much facilities on site, but you are within walking distance to many eateries, clinics, schools, and many more. I also like the fact that this project is also within walking distance to Redhill MRT station and definitely super convenient if you are working in the CBD area, so you don't need to spend so much time commuting. In terms of potential resale value, especially for 4-room flats, I can see how this project would be another $1 million HDB resale flat producer in the future, especially if it's on a high floor and has a good view. The location is in the Redhill area, near CBD, and it's also surrounded by multi-million-dollar condos, so it does help to uplift the resale value. The 3-room flat is another story though. I'll cover it when talking about the cons of this project. Having a lot of school options is also a strength because usually centrally located BTOs are far from school options, but not this one. This is especially helpful for young families who are planning to stay here for a long term. If you enjoy an active lifestyle, this project is also good because you are very close to the Alexandra Park connector and the Active SG Sports Complex. On the other hand, obviously, the strict restrictions are kinda a kicker, right? Buyers of this project will be subjected to a 10-year MOP, subsidy recovery, cannot rent out the whole flat even after MOP, etc. But this rule at this point in time is not new anymore, so it's just kind of part of life for BTO that are in good locations. However, because of these restrictions as well, you should think twice whether you really want to apply for a 3-room flat. Why? Because most people would find 3-room too small to cater for different life stages. Yet, let's say if you have more kids or if additional family members need to stay with you, plus you will never be able to rent out the whole flat even after MOP, you can only rent out your spare bedroom. And even if it's okay for you, you might find it difficult reselling the flat later on because the potential buyer will also be subjected to the same strict rules. Another downside I can think of, well, this project doesn't have many flat type options, only 3-room and 4-room flat, and no amenities on site as well. But again, that's not a big of a deal because you can just walk to the surrounding area to get what you need. All in all, I think this project is a very solid choice, especially if you are hunting for a 4-room BTO flat in the central area. I can imagine the application rate for Bukit Merah area will be very competitive because this site and the other site at Tanglin are both great in my opinion. If you would like to know more about the upcoming BTO launch, check out my channel as I have more videos about this. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!